Somebody already has gold camo in Black Ops 6.
How does this even happen?
Professional, like online gaming, so like esports and stuff, has absolutely ruined the casual online player experience.
As someone who's played online and competitive games since before some of y'all were even born, for me personally, content and pro scenes completely ruined multiplayer games for me.
I've been seeing a lot of topics around this same thing about people saying how, you know, content creators or streamers or people who just sweat and grind at most games in general. I've mainly seen this directed towards, you know, Call of Duty, you know, Apex and stuff like that, but I've mainly seen this directed towards Call of Duty because ever since Black Ops 6 came out, I've been seeing a lot more people talking about have content creators and people who sweat and, you know, grind and, you know, want to be good and want to be the best, and, you know, the streamers and content creators who make, you know, the best M4 class videos or the best SMGs or how to grind to, you know, gold camo day one type of videos. They say that they're ruining gaming, and I kind of want to just talk about that because I think it's an interesting conversation to have and to really see like if it's really ruining gaming or if it's just the law of the land kind of thing.
Now a word from our sponsor.
Hi, before using Dubby, I was a father of 12. But now, after Dubby, I'm a deadbeat dad.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Let's see what we got in here for the Dubby. Dubby, Dubby. We got the motherfucking... We got the motherfucking... We got the motherfucking... Oh, shit. So the first flavor of Dubby, we have peach and beet.
You what?
Second flavor of Dubby, we got the dragon mayo. Next flavor, we have laxative.
What?
Oh, Laxy grenade. Next flavor, we have this is a zero sugar powder pack. And last but certainly not least, we have Heinz Berry Splash. I'm Wasabi, and this has been your Dubby advertisement.
Now, the short answer for me is no. Seeing, you know, people make, you know, best Modern Warfare 3 or best Black Ops 6, you know, M4 class, you know, day one type of videos, those don't really bother me. Those have never really like taken my wonder away from me playing Call of Duty casually. Because the main thing that I've been seeing people talk about is saying that, like, you know, the people who make those type of videos and the people who, you know, take the game too seriously, especially in pub matches and don't go to rank, essentially like ruin like the casual gaming experience. Now, while I understand where those people are coming from, and I especially do understand, like, you know, the person who never goes into rank but is always in pubs, you know, telling people that they suck and telling people that they need to get better at the game when it's a quick play match in Overwatch or like a public match in Call of Duty, that I understand, and I do like agree that like those type of people do ruin, like, you know, gaming and, like, you know, just like the casual like game experience that you want to have because you don't want to go in the rank because you're not, you know, trying to be competitive or be competitive in the slightest in whatever game you're playing. That I do understand. But as far as, like, you know, the content creator side of it and the people who, like, you know, grind all day for camos in early access or day one in Call of Duty, that doesn't really like ruin my casual experience of it. And I don't really know if it's because you don't even know if it's because I'm, you know, sort of competitive in my own right. I'm not saying I want to be like, you know, top 500 in, you know, whatever game that I play, but in just about every game that I play, I want to be good enough to have a good enough time to where like I can get enough wins and go on a win streak every now and again, but I'm not going to be winning every single match. Like, I'll still end up getting my ass kicked, especially if it's a game that I don't really care about that much, like Call of Duty. But it doesn't necessarily take away like the wonder of what, like, you know, discovering stuff on my own does in games. Like, I never really, like, you know, feel like, oh, like I wish I would discover that myself. That's really like regarded for like story games in my opinion. Now, if somebody's out here spoiling, like, you know, like a story in, like, you know, a single player game, like let's say like they spoil like Horizon Zero Dawn or God of War or Red Dead Redemption for you, then that's something completely different. But spoiling, like, you know, what's the best SMG in Call of Duty, that doesn't really do anything because people are gonna figure that out like quickly and eventually anyways because of how many people play Call of Duty and just like how popular it is. So that's not really like, you know, ruining, like, you know, the wonder for me, if that makes any sense. because you can still play a game casually and still have people who play a game, you know, competitively, or, you know, want to, you know, speed run games to, you know, make sure they get the gold camo first, or make sure they get, you know, the max prestige first and stuff like that. You can still enjoy your experience of being, you know, the casual gamer while still letting other people enjoy their speed running or, you know, like a sweat try hard type of experience. Like, just because somebody else enjoys playing a game a different type of way doesn't mean that it has to be ruined for you per se. Because especially in Call of Duty, because a lot of times they're slow, like, you know, to add rank modes to their games, and a lot of times, you know, people do tend to, like, you know, be like, you know, not the best person in Call of Duty. Like, it's Call of Duty, for crying out loud. But like, I can understand where people are coming from. I just don't necessarily agree with it, especially as far as, like, you know, the content creator thing wise, because especially, like, I don't agree that it ruins gaming. I feel like it honestly is just like, I feel like content creators making, like, you know, the best class videos, or making, you know, the best weapons, or the best place to get kills, or, you know, how to get good at the game. I feel like that's just like what we have to deal with the times that we're in. And I'm going back to what I said earlier, that doesn't really bother me, because as a fighting game player, like, I'm not mad that, like, you know, people found out, you know, if not almost all of the Ryu combos like day one or week one in Street Fighter 6, or they found, you know, all of the Kazuya combos and all of the, you know, the juggling like day one. Like, that doesn't like ruin the game for me. Honestly, like, it kind of helps me, to be fair, because I can learn from them. Now, I'm not trying to be like, you know, winning Evo and shit, but like, it helps me learn from them. And it also helps me, like, you know, get better at the game, and it helps my experience of like, okay, like, I know that, like, you know, this is his combo, this is his, you know, jab combo, his medium combo, or whatever, right? But when it comes down to stuff like Call of Duty or, like, you know, Apex, Overwatch, like, none of that really bothers me, and I don't really see that, like, and I don't really think that that's like a bad thing. Honestly, it's kind of just what we have to deal with, because of the fact that, like, a lot of content creators, like, this is their job, so like, they kind of have to make those videos. But again, I understand why it will ruin it for some people, because, like, you know, every person in the game, like, once they get those attachments, they'll just be running the same thing. But them running the same thing doesn't ruin the fun for me, because I make my own fun, especially in something like Call of Duty, which I'm bad at. Like, I'm not good at Call of Duty in the slightest bit, so like, I end up making like my own fun. Or a lot of the times I end up just like fucking around with my friends. Like, I don't really play Call of Duty to begin with. Like, the last one I played was Modern Warfare, like the one from 2-3 years ago, I think. But like, I don't really play Call of Duty, so it doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't really matter if I'm good at Call of Duty. It doesn't really matter what other people are running. As long as I'm having fun, then that's really all that I really give a fuck about. Like, if I'm having fun at the game, and, you know, me and my friends are fucking around in like a Discord call, or just laughing, cracking jokes, that's all that really matters to me. Because just because, like, you got, you know, Tom over here running the M4 shotgun class in a public lobby, you know, trying to get, you know, 80 or 100 kills, but I end up knifing him, you know, making his, you know, deathless game, you know, end up with like 1 or 2 deaths, that's enough for me. Or if I just have fun, like, you know, fucking with him with a shotgun or like a rocket launcher, that's fun for me. Like, and I do also understand that, like, you know, in games, especially like Call of Duty, if you're losing, like, you know, every single match, that's also not fun. But also that kind of leans into, like, you know, the sweaty aspect of it, of like, you know, does, you know, sweating, like, you know, really ruin games, or is it just a part of it? To be honest, I think it's really just a part of it. I feel like sweating in games, especially like, you know, multiplayer games like Call of Duty and like, you know, Apex and Overwatch and all this type of stuff, it's kind of like ingrained in like the game itself. It's not really, you know, like frowned upon, I guess would be the word. It's not necessarily like frowned upon, so it's not necessarily like seen as a bad thing to sweat in those types of games. And with the whole, like, you know, a lot of times I see people like, they're like, oh, I don't mind, you know, like people sweating, I just don't like losing, you know, every single game. But, you know, trying to win also kind of like, you know, insinuates you sweating. Like, you have to kind of sweat a little bit to try and win. Like, you can't necessarily, you know, talk down on people who are tryharding when the main thing that will make you happy in this game is tryharding and trying to win and trying to like get good enough to where you can win a couple of times. But I don't think sweating in games like this, especially games that have like, you know, esports to them like Call of Duty, I don't think that sweating ruins them, honestly. I feel like it's just a part of the culture of the game. Like, there's always been good people at Call of Duty. There's always been people that are good at Call of Duty. There's always been people that's good at, you know, fighting games and Overwatch and like all other type of games. There's always been people who have been min-maxing their, you know, abilities and, you know, their shots and everything like that. There have always been people like that. So I don't necessarily, the only big thing now is the internet. And I feel like if like a thing that ruins the game for you is seeing like, you know, content like that, then you kind of just have to not watch it. I know it's kind of like, you know, a vague, like simple solution, but I feel like that's like the best solution for a lot of people is to, you know, to just not watch it, to not watch, you know, like the best class type of videos, and to like make your own fun with these games, and to make your own fun with like multiplayer games. If everybody's running the same shit, that's kind of what you have to do, because there's always going to be somebody sweating in whatever lobby you're in, no matter if it's a ranked lobby, a public lobby. There's always going to be somebody tryharding, so it's not necessarily something you really can avoid, to be honest with you. So it's kind of just like you have to go to your For You page, or just trying to like make your own fun with these multiplayer games. And I know that kind of sounds weird, but like, especially with Call of Duty, like, let's be honest, like Call of Duty isn't, you know, like the best game in the fucking world and shit. So you kind of have to make your own fun, because after a while, it's not really going to get any better, if that makes any sense. Because Call of Duty isn't like, you know, a story-based game. Like, most people are playing that, you know, for the multiplayer, or only for the multiplayer. Like, they're not playing that, you know, for like, you know, the campaign. Like, a lot of people just get Call of Duty just to play the multiplayer, and that's it. So I can kind of see both sides to this kind of argument, but I don't think that streaming and like, you know, content creation, or people who speed run these types of games, or people who, you know, speed run, you know, to get the camos and stuff, I don't think that ruins the casual gaming experience. I can understand if people say like, you know, it ruins like, you know, a bit of the like the discovery of these types of games, but I don't think that it ruins casual games as a whole, because you can still enjoy this game at a casual level. Because in my opinion, just because somebody is sweating doesn't mean that it should ruin your casual gaming experience, because you can still just, you know, be laid back on your couch playing Call of Duty on your TV screen and be fine with it. It's just like, I feel like a lot of times people like, they talk down on people who sweat in these types of games, but in their mind, they're sweating too, or like they want to sweat, they just don't have the time to. Because a lot of people will talk down on sweats. I feel like a lot of people have a lot of like misplaced anger towards people who sweat in Call of Duty matches, or just any game in general, that they don't take that seriously. They're like, oh, like, you know, you need to touch grass and all that type of stuff, which I know a lot of times end up just being jokes majority of the time. But like, I feel like some people who talk down on people who sweat or like speed run, a lot of the times like they like themselves like end up sweating, because that's just like the nature of the game. Like, to get good at a game, even just to get a win streak every now and again, or just, you know, like to win a public match a couple of times with your homeboys, you have to sweat. Like, that's called like, you know, getting good at a game. And you don't have to like, you know, sink, you know, 80 hours into Call of Duty to get good at it. You can sink a couple hours a day into Call of Duty, but you actually have to focus and try hard on certain stuff to get good at the game. But that doesn't mean that like, you know, you're ruining the experience of other people because you want to get good. So I feel like sometimes when people talk down on people who sweat in Call of Duty, or who sweat in like, you know, multiplayer games in general, I just feel like, you know, it's misplaced, because to get good at Call of Duty, you have to try hard. And so, you know, get at least decent enough. You don't have to put in, you know, 80 hours or 100 hours. You can put in a couple of hours a day, like, you know, actually like, you know, training and like, you know, getting good at certain stuff. Then you'll be good at Call of Duty. Like, before you know it, like, you'll be good. But all in all, I just feel like content creation and people sweating doesn't ruin casual gaming experiences. I feel like we're all able to like enjoy whatever experience we want to have, like in Call of Duty, or in Overwatch, or in Street Fighter, or in Tekken, or like in whatever game that you play. Whether or not you're trying hard, or whether or not you're sweating, like, you can still enjoy your experience of, you know, whatever type of casual. If you're trying to go into esports, if you're trying to go pro, if you're trying to get clips for Twitch or TikTok, like whatever you're doing, like, I feel like we all can enjoy our experiences without like shitting on the way that other people play the game.